Did it again, man. That's how you can tell. Fresh week back, man. Boy, been sitting here talking. Mic on mute. But I was asking, how you feeling? Few and far between the checkups and check-ins from people that you care about. And that kind of hurt. It's paramount. Excuse me. Excuse me. What's that taco, boy? Before I came on, your boy went and grabbed some tacos. Ain't ate nothing all day. And then I waited until right before I was about to come on, not even grab them. Something starving. So I threw one down real quick. But that sauce would be killing me. I'm not a spicy food person at all. But got to checking in. How you feeling? We all need that moment to exhale just to unwrap the day. And that's the reason why I do the podcast at this time, just because it's not quite bedtime, but for a majority of folk, the day is over. So you can reflect on what went well, what went bad, what you can improve on, how you want today to lean into tomorrow. Just lessons, man. Reflection. And reflection is necessary, especially if you want to have any kind of normalcy in life. You got to have that reflection. That's what New Year's is about for most people, where that's kind of asinine to me, but that's the custom. People look back upon the entire year, think about what the highs and the lows were of the year, and basically try to forecast what they want the highs and the lows to look like for next year. It's not for me personally, because there are 365 days in the year. We're not going to remember 365 days of activity, the ups and downs of all 365 days. So of all of those days that you lived through, you maybe remember 21 vividly, because those are the days where you had your biggest triumphs, your new experiences, or the negative traumatic experiences. Out of 365, you might remember 3 weeks worth. That's almost 50 weeks of just blah life that you didn't take advantage of just because of how the thought experiment works. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool off that. I need day by day, every day, reflecting on what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, what occurred, how I can affect that moving forward, how I can change that moving forward, how I can improve in certain areas every single day. So New Year's is every day for me. Wake up, it's a celebration. Got this to accomplish. End of the day, all right, bet, let's reflect, let's see what happened. How do I feel about it? From there. Not sure if I talked about it yesterday or not, but I have this new habit that I'm building, that I'm like trying to implement, where I give out between 5 to 10 compliments every day to whomever. Folks I see in the gym, grocery store, out and about at the park, restaurants, regardless of where I'm at. Try to give out 5 to 10 compliments. Men, women, kids, dogs, birds. No matter. Just try to give them out. Because the more positivity you get out, the more normal it becomes for you to exude that positivity onto your environment. And I want to be able to be as positive and as influential on my environment as possible. And I bring it up because I had to think about it. It's not too often that I receive compliments. Like few and far between. I'm not sure if it's because of my face, because of my ethnicity, because of who I am as a person, or the environment I live in, but almost never happens. And I got one from white dude in the gym. Name is Theo. Walked up to me, introduced himself, shook my hand, and just flat out told me, man, you know what? You give off this positive energy and this glow. I don't know what it is about you, but you're just impacting the environment around you. When I heard it, I'm thrown off. He's like, all right, have a good day, and went back to working out. It threw me off just because no matter how many compliments I give out, and this has been something I've been doing all year, because I know I can do better or could have done better in the past about interacting with people being positive, but rarely get that in return. And it kind of like startled me. It's new to me. At the most, the closest thing I used to get to a compliment would be walking through wherever I'm at and then having random women just stare, not speaking, not smiling, not waving, just staring. I know in the messed up world we exist in, that might be some form of communication to people, but to me, it's just awkward. Super awkward. Like, what you just looking at me for? Like, not speaking, just staring. Makes me extremely uncomfortable. And it's not like once or twice. Happens often. Just be out and just feel eyes on you. That made me real uncomfortable. And I don't even count that as a compliment, but that's the closest thing to before the gentleman approached me today. And I thought about how it made me feel. I'm like, man, I need to do more of that for other people. Whether it's, I like your outfit, I like your shoes, I like your energy. Just any compliment I can think of, handing them out, because showing love is free. Don't cost you nothing. But while saying that, there's also been like trials and tribulations just with handing out compliments, right? Because anytime I make eye contact, regardless of, this is another step to these new habits I'm building. Anytime I make eye contact with people, I speak. Regardless of where I'm at, who it is, we make eye contact, I'm either going to wave or I'm going to speak. And that throws so many people off. A lot of folk look at me just scared, nervous, paranoid. Hey, I know some of it might be, do I know you? You know me? You talking to me? A lot of that social awkwardness, but just speaking just to speak. If we acknowledge each other's existence with eye contact, I'll speak. And you might not get words back. You might not even get people speaking back, but just the act of speaking and repetitively taking advantage of the opportunity to interact. Want to do more of that. That's why I'm handing out more compliments, just to interact more, to basically inspire other people to engage with the world around them. You feel me? Like, not just the podcast, but everyday activity. Just doing normal human shit, like shit we used to do before folk got sucked into the vortex of technology. And boy, it get hard, man, when you feel like you're speaking to yourself or when folk suspicious, trying to figure out if you're trying to get something out of them or if you're giving out compliments and you get the same reaction of, why you being so nice? It definitely feels weird when you get like pessimism or a standoffish energy in return to being positive, but ain't worry about that. I'm just focused on trying to do as much to be as positive everywhere I'm at to whomever is around, to try to build up that kind of repertoire with just my environment and my interaction with life. And that shit hard, but I'm gonna keep chugging and keep to it. Hopefully it get easier. People get more friendly as they become more familiar with my face. But man, just walking up to people and just being nice. Once upon a time, that used to be like normalcy. And in certain areas of the world, they still behave like that. But in the U.S., especially a black man walking up on you, probably got a hoodie on. Yeah, all right. But on to the topic of the day, man. The extinction of elders. So I'm gonna give a little background behind it, right? Once upon a time in the black community, the elders used to be at the top of the totem pole of respect, where they are prevalent, they were seen, and more than being seen, they were heard and they were felt. They were always in places where you had access to them. That way they can give out words of wisdom, validation. The compliments I'm speaking about is usually older people who were out speaking life into kids, being able to correct any kind of mischief that we were getting into. Hey, don't do that. Just providing boundaries and rules and regulations on top of positive affirmations. The elders used to be the backbone of the community when it came to doing that, while also parenting their kids and wanting them to follow in their footsteps. So the elders used to play a major part in the growth and the development and the ambiance of a community. And at some point, we just lost that, where the new generation of elders, they not seen, they not accessible, they not positive influences in the community. They not even still parenting their kids. They just disappeared. And it went from the elders being at the top of the totem pole of respect to becoming like a negative monolith, where when you hear elder now, it makes people turn their nose up and just like, I'm sick of y'all. Where the respect is gone and the respect is replaced with vitriol. Like, man, pretty much sick of y'all shit. Because instead of all the behaviors of elders of the past, now you got the folks at the elder seat in the family who have done damage to the family structure. And a lot of the hate and vitriol came from the younger generation trying to address, hey, we had this situation. This is what you did. This is how it impacted me. And at some point, the elders stopped listening, or the new elders stopped listening. They stopped taking accountability for any of their actions. They just were ignorant to everything that was happening. And being ignorant is one thing, but choosing to remain ignorant and choosing not to validate someone else's perspective of your actions, it's like defense mechanism on one hand, but the lack of acknowledgement, it stops the entire procession of growth within the family, where you did this and this is how it made me feel and this is what happened as a result of that. When folks just hit you with a nah, or they don't listen, or they're not hearing it, you can't grow from that. You just stuck. And our community is built with the elders, again, being at the top of the totem pole when it comes to respect, because they play an important role. So even though there's a way to move past it, it requires cutting them off and not acknowledging their existence and not letting them have any input in the family structure. But now you have a void in the elder seat. And the unfortunate part about having that void is the people who were in the generation beneath them, who were supposed to graduate to elder after that generation, they never saw a successful figurehead in that seat. So they don't know how to even play that role. But the behaviors they picked up on were not acknowledging the experiences of the younger generations, not wanting to be accountable for any decisions that they made, not wanting to take ownership of any ignorance that they might have had in certain situations. And now we at a point where in today's society, in our culture, the elders have little respect, even from their own children, who are the grandparents now. But even those people are acting just like the people they don't respect. So the generation that are the new parents, they can't even speak to their parents, let alone their grandparents, because the accountability is not being taken. I don't want to listen to anything you got to say because you did this to me in my life. And now you're trying to gaslight me into believing that either you didn't know what you were doing, that you never did it, that I'm making it up, or you won't even have a conversation. So now I'm not going to hear shit you got to say. I don't want any words of wisdom. You don't have any positive affirmation for me because you can't address the reality of our relationship. And slowly but surely, these bridges were burned and distance was being put between the generations, where ain't no elders no more. They're still grandparents, but they're not respected as elders. A grandparent is basically a secondary babysitter now. Not a role model, but they are a model of how the parents act. So now you have that void at the top. And because the void is at the top, now the void is starting to move down, where don't even have grandparents. Elder was at the top of the top. If you were lucky, great grandparents, great uncles, great aunts. But now in the next generation, the grandparents, great uncles, great aunts, there's not much great about them anymore. The generational gap has made it so that everybody's on the same playing field now. There is no totem pole of respect. Now we all just on the same level. But we need that hierarchy in order for the community to grow. Because we're supposed to, as we grow older, you're supposed to grow up. And mix in so many different factors of what we experience in life. Nobody's growing up. We're just all in the same playing field, mucking around in the same mosh pit, all doing the same things. None of us knowing how to play the role that's required in order for us to grow up and get bigger and better. And that is the problem. You have these generations, right, where the older generation, they never wanted to take accountability for what they did, right? You would think, all right, bet, cool. That means the grandparents should be able to take accountability because they saw the flaws of their parents. They saw what went right, what went wrong, what went wrong. Boy, your boy hungry. And they should be able to improve upon that. Nah, never was shown how to improve upon that. So they mimicking those behaviors where, shoot, I just lived my life. The parents are like, man, you did this to me. The grandparents are going, shoot, my parents did that to me. So shoot, that's just how it worked. No, if it was wrong then and it made you feel a certain way, it's wrong now and it made me feel a certain way. But because I didn't have that bridge from elder to grandparent, I no longer know how to go about improving that because I've never had to unpack the situation. I've never had to go through the trauma that I experienced in life, and I'm so stuck in my ways of just trudging forward, not acknowledging it, and just pushing it to the back. That's just what I'm going to do. So as the new parents, you're going to have to do the same thing as us, even though it didn't work well for us. The grandparents, life isn't better under their stewardship. They have unresolved trauma, and that unresolved trauma has limited them from being able to establish themselves as elders, and now passing that trauma down to the parents, who won't even be able to establish themselves as grandparents because we all on the same level. We all are the same people, basically. My age don't mean nothing. I'm existing in the same time as you are, so I'm experiencing the same things as you are, regardless of what age. So, shoot, you're on your own. Just from taking that piece off at the top, now there's a glass ceiling on the hierarchy of a community where not only is the ceiling keeping one generation from advancing to the next, that generation is stooping down to the level of children. So the glass ceiling came down with them. Now everybody operates as children. Not even children. We haven't gone that far yet, but adolescents. You got a lot of grandparents and parents who act like they still in high school. Hang out with high schoolers, listen to the same music as high schoolers, dress the same as high schoolers, because shoot, never unpacked this trauma to grow up. So I've never grown up. So if I'm not going to grow up, I can't show you how to grow up. So we all going to be 60-year-olds, 16-year-olds. Say that 10 times fast. But it's a tough situation where when you have a mosh pit like that and you have a space where everybody is basically stuck on the same floor and can't advance, at some point, either everybody's going to suffocate each other and die, or one of the generations is going to have to take it upon themselves to assess, hey man, this ceiling shouldn't be down here. Why is it down here? Okay, boom. How do we push it back to where it needs to be, which is non-existent? How do we get rid of it? All right, there are positions that we never heard of because we've never seen, because they've been gone generations before us. But how do we establish people in those positions? How do we put an elder back in the family? A grandparent actually acting like a grandparent. How do we establish parents as parents again? How do I find myself being able to be an adolescent or be pre-adolescent or be a child and be able to play my role and exist in that space? And how can we be able to establish that hierarchy again and establish synergy back in our community and our families? It's going to take a generation to really unpack not just their trauma, but the trauma of generations before them, and even the trauma and the impact and influence on the generations after them, even the ones that aren't here yet, and do all of that work. And man, that shit is tough, because you got to know your history, and you're doing it in a space where there's more information available than ever, but there's nobody to gatekeep or fact check on whether that's accurate information, whether it's relevant information, or whether it's just some bullshit. There's more distractions than ever. Technology, sports gambling, hardships. There's more distractions and things that you have to look at and pay attention to, and look at this and see this and oh, watch that, than ever before. There's less support, less love than ever before, because a lot of the distractions are pushing negative stereotypes. The people who were supposed to gatekeep and fact check were the elders, and they've been gone for generations now. So there's nobody to really give advice or information on what's right and what's wrong. So how the fuck do you fix it? I believe in gender roles, right? And not just man takes out the trash, woman cooks, but the psychological sense where women nurture and men set boundaries and discipline. remember what I said about the elders and the grandparents, right? The elders, they did both. Not just great grandmother, not just great grandfather. Both did both. They let you know what the rules and the regulations are. And they nurtured you to make sure that you were able to flourish in a situation at the same time. But because we no longer have that delineation between the two, we need simplification. We need women to be women, to nurture to the best of their ability, and we need men to be men. Accomplish goals, set boundaries, set rules, and give structure. Because as you grow in your role, you then find space to then maneuver through both roles. As a woman, I'm going to nurture you, but here are the limitations to my nurturing. As a man, I'm going to set boundaries and I'm going to set rules, but here's how I'm going to nurture you within these rules and explain to you why they're here so that you can improve upon that. And as you grow in your role, and then as you find more space for improvement and for growth, you go up that totem pole of respect and you go from, all right, as a child, I learned here's how things operate. Here's what I need to do. As an adult, all right, here's how I'm doing it, but here's how I can improve upon doing it. As a grandparent, you watched me do all of this. I've gone through the full gamut of life where I was a child already. I've given birth. I've raised children. Here's how I can be of assistance to them while they go through the journey I just went through. Then you graduate to elder status where I'm the figurehead. I'm toward the end of my life. You can assess all my flaws, all my shortcomings, all of my successes, all of my brilliance. And you can use me as a benchmark because an elder was never supposed to be a glass ceiling. The elder, their ceiling for their life, the highest of their accomplishments was supposed to be the floor for the grandchildren, for the grandparents. And the grandparents, their ceiling, the most that they accomplished was supposed to be the floor for the parents. And the parents, their ceiling is supposed to be the floor for their children. Each generation is supposed to build upon the next. So the respect is supposed to be inverse of the accomplishment. The kids are supposed to be at the top when it comes to accomplishment because they're supposed to build upon the layers of each generation before them. But because I'm building upon your legacy and your accomplishments, the respect is the other way around, where you get the utmost respect from me because I get to see everything that you did to get each generation here. And now you're giving me the ability and the opportunity to build upon your life, almost like a sacrifice. So even though my accomplishments might dwarf yours, the respect that you get from me, you'll never be able to return that. But right now that's missing. Accomplishments aren't growing, so neither is the respect. The roles are unfulfilled all the way around because you got everybody at the starting line unaware that they're even running a race or where the race is even heading. But it all starts with having a conversation. You got to have an understanding of, all right, who am I? How did I get here? Knowing that history. Where am I going? What have I done so far? Where am I standing at currently? Where am I trying to get to? The game of Jenga has already been over. Somebody messed it up. All the blocks fell. We're trying to set the game back over again. So we slowly building it back up. Got to get back to the starting line and be able to fix it. But right now, there's a drought in the streets. There's no authoritative figure, not just authority means of intimidation or fear, but authoritative figure as in figurehead, benchmark, somebody that we love and respect that we can use an example, role model. Because truth be told, is an extinction of elders right now, few and far between. But ain't shit you can't fix as long as you're still breathing. Or, I mean, only if you're interested in fixing it. Some people like suffering, but I wouldn't suggest that. Catch you next time. Yeah.